I will talk about food insecurity. First of all, I'll explain the comparison between food security and food insecurity. It can help us to understand the main idea of food insecurity easily. In the second part, I will talk about food insecurity, and the next part will be about causes and impact of food insecurity. What is food security? Food security is the confidence of knowing where and when your next meal will be, and knowing that if you're hungry, you will soon be able to feed yourself. And food insecurity is the inability to know where and when you will next be able to eat. As we see in first picture, we see some actions. First of all, unemployment, poverty, low access. These three things can lead to food insecurity. In other words, we can say the parts factors of food insecurity. And the next picture is about food security. Actually, if you have enough health, good health, enough income, having enough food, especially food, it can lead to food security. Uh, and we need to pay attention in this picture. It shows us that food security can decrease to food insecurity, and food insecurity can increase to food security. And what is food insecurity in uh, wide meaning of food insecurity? Food insecurity is defined as a lack of consistent access to enough food for every person in a household to live an active, healthy life. This can be a temporary situation for a household or can last a long time. Food insecurity is one way we can measure how many people cannot afford food. As example, I'll show the United States. In the United States, more than 38 million people, including 12 million children, face food insecurity. It's what causes food insecurity. Lack of access to farming lands, land grabbing, conflict, violence, wars, and unfair trade rules, vehicles, natural disasters, and etc. I'll explain some of them. First of all, biofuels. Biofuels can seem us as a healthy for environment and for us, but it's not because unfortunately farms with diversity into growing such plants, crops, or biofuels decrease the number of plates available for food. And these biofuels are produced from plants like corn and sugarcane. And the next one is a fast-paced population growth, and it's I think exactly because rising population is limited growth, and the food available means increase in food insecurity. Next one is lack of access to farming lands. Food is grown or produced from the land. In doing so, income is also generated. However, many people don't have their own land or cannot afford to have access to farmable land. And the next one is land grabbing. Land grabbing deprives local communities of the resources they desperately require to grow food, crops, and vegetables for survival. The impacts of food insecurity. First of all, its effects on children. Food insecurity leads to hunger, increases in food prices, a rise in health-related costs, unemployment, violence, conflict. Next slide shows us video about
We are facing a global fight to address one of the biggest challenges of our time.
studies about food insecurity.
5 years after committing to eradicate hunger, we are not on track to reach our goals by 2030.
Chronic hunger is up by 10 million people in 1 year. and up by nearly 60 million in 5 years. Almost 690 million people went hungry in 2019, with numbers highest in Asia and rising fastest in Africa.
If these trends continue, more than 840 million people will be hungry by 2030, with Africa overtaking Asia as the region affected most. The COVID-19 pandemic could add over 100 million people to this distressing toll.
Overcoming hunger is just one part of the problem. 2 billion people do not have regular access to safe, nutritious and sufficient food. In 2019, 144 million children under the age of 5 were stunted,
while 47 million were affected by wasting. We are not on track to meet our 2030 targets for child stunting, low birth weight and exclusive breastfeeding.
Countries are also facing the growing burden of obesity linked to poor quality diets, with 676 million of adults obese.
Around the world, many people are suffering from hunger, food insecurity and malnutrition because they cannot afford healthy diets.
Even the cheapest healthy diets are out of reach for more than 3 billion people in the world. In sub-Saharan Africa and southern Asia, around 57% of the population cannot afford nutritious food.
Our current dietary patterns are also taking a heavy toll in terms of health costs and the environment. By 2030, diet-related health costs linked to mortality and non-communicable diseases could be more than $1.3 trillion a year, while diet-related costs of greenhouse gas emissions could be more than $1.7 trillion a year.
As the world fights COVID-19, we cannot allow the pandemic to stop the global fight on hunger and malnutrition. To achieve a world free from hunger and malnutrition by 2030, countries must transform food systems and increase the affordability of healthy diets.
Shifting to healthy diets could reduce direct and indirect health costs by up to 97%,
while reducing the social costs of greenhouse gas emissions by up to 74%. We must ensure the cost of nutritious foods comes down.
If the whole world shifts towards a healthy diet, we have a
As we see from this video, we can make conclusions that food insecurity can lead to hunger, and the latest stage of food insecurity is hunger, and we need to pay more attention to this problem to to prevent our planet and people from other consequences, like terrible consequences. For your attention.